Hello, everybody. Good morning with that beautiful music. It's a good time here. It's a good Sunday morning. The sun is out. The birds are chirping. It's a beautiful place. And if you don't know who I am, guys, hello. My name is Sam Stevenson. I've been obsessing with construction for like 5 years now, of course. And I am basically going to be giving you my inside information regarding how I'm going to be building the best design firm that has ever existed. Okay. Now, my background is in structural engineering, and I'm here to educate you guys on how I leverage those skills with the tools that I have and the tools that we all have available to generate economic energy. That's right, baby. I'm talking money, I'm talking cash. All right. We use that money and that economic energy. We solve problems. The world gives us money. We take that money and we distribute it and make a business. That's how this world works. Okay. So if you want to learn about that process, then listen up. Hopefully by the end of the stream, you guys are going to understand a few things about me. All right. So one, mistakes, lessons learned along the way. That's the first thing I'm sharing. Thoughts, wisdoms, all those things. Okay. What's my strategy to move forward? All right. It is my strategy being tweaked. Obviously, nothing's perfect. We kind of like ping pong as we go through life, right? But that's what we'll do there. And then what I'm actually going to do. That's right. What am I going to do going forward in the next week? Because strategy is cool and all, but if you don't do anything, you get nowhere. So if you got any questions or you want to just hang out, throw them in the chat and we'll just be bouncing around through things. Thank you for watching and supporting. Let's get right into it here. So over the last week, I would not say there have been a ton of mistakes I have made, but there have definitely been some lessons learned. And if there has been any mistake, it's been in improperly applied tonality on sales calls. And what I mean when I say that is when you're selling, your like if you're in person, your body language matters a lot with what you're communicating as a human to another human. If you're just on the phone, obviously body language doesn't matter. And that means that the other two parts that matter are the words you say and the way you say them. Your tonalities are the way you say the words. And so on the phone, your tonality matters a lot more because you have to make up for the fact that there's no body language. And so when you answer the phone with someone and it sounds like a robot and there's no tone, like, hello, thank you for answering the phone today. I have 3 things to give you. Just like when it's robotic like that, then people are turned off by that and they're like, oh, it's a robot, click, hang up. Okay. So when we are selling, we must control the tone and make it clear that we're trying to communicate, we're effectively communicating the right message. And so the mistake that I made, I think, on a few calls when I opened the call was I didn't have the right tonality in place. And that's probably just due to not having 10,000 of these under my belt and not having the practice in. But I gave the wrong tonality and I said words that most people would probably like respond to if you picked up the phone and someone said these words. Something as simple as like, hi, how's it going? Or hi, my name is Sam, or whatever. Like something pretty simple. Most people are generally, especially if an area code in your area calls you and you pick it up and someone's like introduces themselves, that's generally an appropriate way to start a conversation. And if you insert the wrong tonality or you're too aggressive or this, that, and the other, then it's going to be misinterpreted and they're going to be like, oh, this is not someone I'm interested in talking with. So on, I think maybe 3 out of the like 200, 300 something calls I made, I used the wrong tonality and I got hung up on right out of the gate. Right. And so that's like, I think the major like mistake lesson learned that I can tweak and try to make sure I'm doing properly moving forward. But otherwise, what I wanted to talk about in regards to that was lessons learned as a company and potentially you guys, if you ever want to run businesses or do whatever, right? That person, the receptionist at the front desk who's answering these calls is fielding a lot of calls, right? They're probably getting a lot of people trying to sell the business or a lot of people trying to do something that like the business is not really interested in. Now, that's going to wear down on somebody if that's their job, is to literally get like, or empty calls, just like robots, just like you name it. Like that's just annoying. And so that's going to wear down. It's going to grind down on your emotional like tolerance for calls and all this stuff, all that. And like, the lesson here is if someone's going to be in that role, they need to be, presuming this is your goal as a company, they need to be resilient to the concept of accepting all the junk, filtering it out, and then the nuggets that come through that are actually gold nuggets, you capitalize on the gold nuggets, right? What you don't want to do is get emotionally worn down by all the junk and then just treat everything else the same and think it's all junk. I'm just here answering junk calls. And then you just start clicking, hanging up on everybody. And it's like, that's cool. And you'll continue running your business. And like, not everybody's business goal is the same to actually field incoming calls. Like if inbound is not your method of acquisition and you're just concerned with growing and you don't really care, like you don't have to answer the phones. So whatever. But in a lot of cases, like in this industry, home builders, the more connections they have with more people that do good work and more good subcontractors, the more capable they are. Literally, they just literally know more good people, right? If you're gonna try to double your own, let's say if I'm a home builder and I'm going to double my business, and I have a draftsman that is subbed out third party, right? They're also running a business. And so if I triple or 5x my business and they can't handle the growth because they don't understand how to grow or they don't understand, like they can't keep up, basically, it serves me to know multiple good draftsmen because I have more economic room to get more work accomplished in the same amount of time. So it makes sense to want to generally field, like connect with more people. And therefore, when good people call you, you should pick up the phone, make the connection. Like you don't have to talk and learn who they are and their 5-year background, right? You can just make the connection, be like, okay, noted. This is a person does this thing. Put this in this folder here. Click done. Great. So I think that's the other lesson that could be extracted out of that. Quick shout out to the chat. We got Green Observer in here. Hello, Green Observer. Good to see you. Glad to have the color green in the room today. You know what? On the subject of green, you can't really see that. Hold on. There we go. We'll go green for the Green Observer. Heck yeah. Awesome. We also got Mr. Wyatt in here. Hey, bro. How's it happening? He is on the front lines of small studio shed, not shed, studio. Maybe they're called studio sheds. Small shed studio things. Cute little, like, awesome places to work and do stuff in California, I believe. And he is killing it out there. Follow his YouTube channel, guys. MG Construction, spelled like the last name here on the screen. Follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube. Check it out. Okay. So, hang-ups, that kind of stuff. That's the first thing. Sales scripting. Okay. So one of the things that I came upon was that the more I do this, right, the more I understand how what people are expecting to talk about. And my particular business is mostly B2B with a little bit of like kind of B2B2C. And what I mean by that is that I'm specifically targeting builders to draw plans for builders. I could draw plans for anybody. Like if you guys want a custom home or whatever, you can come to me right now and I would draw a plan for you because that's where my business is at. But I'm for outbound targeting purposes, I'm targeting builders and therefore they're a business. And therefore most of the phone conversation needs to be, okay, who you are, what do you do, what's your background, what do you cost? Like super simple, super quick. They're not concerned with all of the sales talk and like the emotional manipulations and like all the stuff that you normally would go through on a call with a consumer. And especially because the stuff that I do is really high ticket, people don't just want to go spend $16,000 on a set of plans and like have the emotional manipulations. Like that's just like not part of it. It's just not. It's much more open, upfront, trusting, like professional type of talk. That's how I would describe that. So basically, what that means is like for the number of times I have rewrote my phone script at least 10 times by now. I like after keep continuing to learn, and it gets shorter and shorter and shorter and more to the point every single time, because I found that just the natural flow of each conversation is like they want to know the information and they want to end the call. And like, it's not like they don't want to work with me. It's that they just need to know my information, that kind of thing. So obviously some of the calls expand beyond that, and those are just better leads. But that's the idea. So there's a little bit of a, what would I call it? There was a rotten egg thrown in with my batch of good eggs. And what I figured out was that I'm trying to acquire data on my drafting work. Yeah, as a business, everybody needs to know what are the inputs to my business and what are the outputs I get for it, because you're charging money. And therefore, if you have more input, you should charge more money and someone should pay you more money because like it just requires more work. That's ideally what you'd be doing. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if you have like an average price, for example, and I have this one job that costs me almost nothing to do and this other one that costs me a lot to do, what's sort of happening is that every customer on average is they're not paying for the same things. Like someone's going to pay $500, they're going to get $100 worth thing. Well, it's worth 500 because they paid for it. So like it's all fair. But what's happening as a business, it's hard to scale that because you don't know what it takes to produce a thing, and therefore you don't have good control over the cost, or you don't know what the cost is. And therefore, if you scale it to the moon, like you don't have a good way to sell knowing exactly what it takes. And honestly, having confidence in knowing what it takes allows you to be very competitive with your price. And I don't mean low with your price. I mean competitive. So if I can charge the same rate as a bunch of other people, but I have an insane tech and economic or same tech and efficiency advantage inside my business, I can make like double the profit margin or triple the profit margin as somebody else. And I can be super confident that I can run a huge business doing that because all this room to grow and this, that, and the other. So that's the thought there. So the price needs to be related to the work input. And the problem that I had was that the more data I got from drafting, the more decorrelated my data was in regards to price. So if you don't know how most people charge for plans, it's related to square footage of the house. That's how most stuff is bid in construction, right? Because more area equals more work equals more material. That's pretty simple. In the drafting world, it's a little bit different because if I draw a room that's 10 feet by 10 feet and like I draw a room that's 100 feet by 100 feet, it takes me the same time. I'm moving the mouse farther on a computer screen. It makes no difference. And so that complicates things because I need to know what inputs in my business are correlated to the work required. So if I'm charging someone by square footage, like on average, I know a number that like just works for my business and like everything's fine. But if I want to be able to be way more accurate and scale it more effectively, I need to know what exactly that equation is. And so over this next week and a little bit at the end of this last week, I had to figure out and try to basically do some kind of factorial analysis stuff and think about, okay, what are the other factors in a house? Like break down my checklist. That's like all the stuff I do to draft a house. Which of these things, what are the factors that make that take more time? And it's sort of related to size because size generally means there are more rooms or more stuff in the house. It's the stuff you add that takes the time, right? Or the roof plan geometry being complicated that takes the time, whatever it may be. But I got to try to figure that out. So I got to do a bunch of stuff right there to figure that out. That's coming soon. But yeah, now my data is all messed up. I thought I had a pretty predictable data set, but the more I added, the more decorrelated it got. And now it's basically random. So there's like I could just charge some flat rate fee for design and I would be fine. But I got to try to solve that problem so that I can make that like the most fair and the most scalable. So I got a comment here from Mr. Wyatt. Every job is different. People get stuck charging like an average. Oh yeah. People get stuck charging an average price. Yes, that is so correct. And I'm sure you've seen Wyatt, like, especially in the bidding world, like a builder might, come to you and be like, hey, what's your framing per square foot? And it's like, well, what do the plans look like? it's not going to be the same, right? You have averages because everything has averages. But if your house has like this one massive beam that's going to take me a day to install, like, it's stuff like that that can throw stuff off crazy. So doesn't quite always work out like that. But here's another weird thing, guys. When you're doing outbound cold calling, I have found that leaving voicemails is less effective in callbacks than not leaving voicemails. And I think it's a little bit of a psychological hack, because what's happening is if I leave them the voicemail and I say, here's what I am, this is why I called, you can call me back here. I may, like, if I put my price in there, then okay. Like, they have the information. And I had a very low quality way of transferring the information to them. Okay. What you will want to do is you want people on the phone. If you are trying to sell, you need to be speaking to people, because that gives them that's the best opportunity to transfer information they need to buy, right? People don't buy because they wait or they have the right opportunity. People buy when they have the right information. Obviously, in this case, there has to be a house being built, but like people are sold on an idea when they have more information. And so you need to be accessible to give them all the information they could possibly want. The best way to do that would be in person, right? But like over a phone, it's great. A Zoom call, even better, because you can have eye to eye, you can show screens, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? And so that is ideal. And so the thing that happened was, if I leave a voicemail, I successfully transferred my information to somebody else, potentially, but I was not able to give them as much information. And so I would rather leave no voicemail and risk like not transferring the information for the possibility they call me back and get me on the phone. Okay. And I think what was happening was, like, if you get a call, if you're running a business and it's local and you get a call from a local area code, most people market as a combination of social media, maybe some advertising, maybe word of mouth, referrals, that kind of stuff. And so you're anticipating inbound leads. And if you're anticipating inbound leads and you get a missed call from a local area code, most people don't leave voicemails these days. And if they don't, you're like, oh, potential money. Like, that's, your brain might be thinking like, I don't know who this person is, but it might be money. Like, this might be work for me. And so I'm going to call them back. Versus if they left a voicemail and it's like, oh, it's a draftsman, this is what he does. Okay, great. Like, I've got his information. I'm not going to call him back because I don't need him. But I'd rather have that phone call. So I stopped leaving voicemails. One, it also makes the whole process faster, because now I'm not like stopping to leave voicemails. And I use Phone Burner, for those that don't know. It's a outbound app. It's decently expensive, but it is, I would say, worth the value that you get, because it cuts out so much time. It's power dialing through. As soon as the second that I end a call and it moves someone into a bad lead folder or whatever, it's already calling the next person. And I just sit there with my headset on talking. And well, I don't sit, I stand, high energy, right? But that's what's going on. So leaving voicemails, kind of a tricky hack. All right. So the other thing I figured out here was that the more I speak to builders, the more I'm figuring out which buckets certain types of builders are. And there's actually, honestly, a pattern sometimes with the name of the builder. Like, if you see luxury homes or fine homes, or you see that kind of stuff, it's very interesting how, like, they're typically in certain buckets and types of builders. And that makes sense, because like they named their business accordingly. But one of the things I found was the builders that I'm specifically targeting are probably builders that are not super popular, or they just don't want to build quantity of houses. And typically the result of that is, when I call the building company's phone number, I'm speaking to the owner. I'm speaking to the builder. And you can usually tell because of the way their voicemail goes. And that's an exception. If I get a business that has a voicemail and I can tell it's like a guy who just, like, he's a builder and he just makes like, this is my voicemail machine, man, like, leave a message. Like, I will leave a voicemail for those people because I'm more interested in meeting those people. But if you're a builder and you have a phone answering system where you have departments like press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this, you've probably got design already figured out. You probably have an in-house designer, And if you don't, you've probably got some people that like you are very locked in with. It's more than likely that you already have an in-house designer at this point. And that's literally just from talking to people on the phone and being like, oh, you had this and you have an in-house designer over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, oh, okay. I'm not here to target that market. I'm here to target the guy who's either smaller, newer, or more niched. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, and so I hang up right away if I get any kind of like phone answering service or anything like that. So that's something else that I have focused on, getting my cold calling a little bit more sharpened. What else we got here? Oh yeah. I ended up on the phone with a old home builder guy who was not interested in using me at all, but he wanted to tell me his whole life story because he was old and like people who are old like to talk. And so I had a good conversation with him, just a little, I had fun and talked about some stuff. And he was telling me all about how you should join the home builders associations and start networking with the guys in that like local thing. And that's good for a lot of reasons. Okay. Networking is pretty much always good. And like, it's kind of a win-win. You're going to learn a lot about industry practice in your area. You're going to learn a lot about modern updates to code and how we do this, that, and the other. Like, it's just a good idea to be part of them in general. However, I'm probably not going to join one for the next foreseeable future because it's not my highest leverage move, I don't think. All right. There are lots of good things I could do. I could take my plans with a roll of paper. I could grab this big old set right here. I could take this and I could go walk around the neighborhood, knock on doors, and engage in sales talks with people. Be like, hey, would you consider building a house? And if you were going to, you're going to need some plans. So like, let's talk about getting you some plans. Like maybe you just want a concept. I could do that. I could sell that way. But I don't like, in terms of time input and energy out, I don't think that's the most effective thing, both for the avatar that I'm targeting and for lots of reasons. Okay. And so I will probably not join a home builders association because here's what I'm doing. I'm scraping my phone data off the internet from home builders associations. And I'm trying to call all of the builders in every single association for now, just in Texas. And that means theoretically, I'm going to have a good chance of getting a hold of the people in the association that I would be networking with if I went in person and spent a bunch of money and time networking. Okay. So theoretically, I'm going to get in contact with the people. The quality will be less because I'm a rando. I'm not part of their cool group. Right. So there's the like value lost there. However, most builders that I want to be selling to care about the fact that I do a good job, I'm a good price, and that they like me. And so if I can convey that over the phone, they'll pay me money. I didn't need to be part of their club. People don't care about that. They care about their business and they care about making money. So also, here's the other thing. I probably am only going to get like 1 to 2 closed leads out of a list of like 200 builders that I'm calling. Just because a huge majority of them are just not applicable. They're not my avatar. They don't need me. They only use architects, whatever it may be. And it's like that number narrows down really quickly. And so I am interested in connecting with people that like want plans fast for a great price with great communication and like plans that aren't going to have all kinds of errors in them because they don't understand structures. That's what I do. Like I'm literally, that's the niche that I'm serving. So, where was I going with that? So home builders associations. If I were to join one, let's say it was $700 for a year. There's probably only like 4, 5, 6, maybe builders in that whole association that are actually my target avatar. And of those 5 or 6, which ones need me? Which ones want to use me, or which ones have a buddy that's been drawing for them for 40 years that uses a freaking drafting table and a pencil and takes 3 months to do a set of plans, but you don't mind because you're his buddy, like, that's a thing. And like, okay, I'm going to pay $700 for a year to have a shot at networking with maybe 2 people out of this whole association that are actually the people that I want to be doing business with and get money from and work for. And I can get them on the phone for free by just getting the data off the internet and calling them. Doesn't seem like a good leverage move, right? So we do more, we do better. We don't need to do new. So, all right, that's my little rant on that one. Get another comment from Wyatt here. You can be in my club, Mr. Wyatt. I would love to be in your club. In fact, we should have a call sometime. I would love to learn more about what it is that you do, and maybe shoot, maybe I could like help you out doing like whatever. And like, it's cool to have you on here because you can basically hear about everything that I'm trying to do, so that I don't have to sell to you. You just know. All right. So keep listening if you want to know more about what I'm doing. All right. So here's something else I figured out. Austin, and I was anticipating this, the city of Austin only lets architectural plans through the permitting process if they have an architectural stamp on them, or so I thought. And there's 2 kinds of plans you should know about. All right. There's 2 ways this can work in Austin. One, architect draws plans and includes structural information in the plans because they can, and they're an architect, and they stamp it and they're good. Or a builder gets an architect to draw architectural plans, and on top of that, they get a structural engineer to overlay the structural plans on top of the architectural plans, and they combine that as a set and get a permit with that. That's typically the way this stuff has to go in big cities, big jurisdictions with lots of control in the building process. In smaller towns, counties, people care less. Like, you use a draftsman, don't matter, right? So where I fit in, and I just had some terrible results in Austin with all these calls, because like most of these builders don't want me. Like, they don't want a draftsman. They want an architect because like this is the way the city works. One builder happened to give me some free information, which was great to know. And that was that I think is like the National Association of Designers, something Designer Institute or whatever, some national group of people that all agree that this is how we design stuff. I can go get a certification for $100, prove that I have 3 years of industry experience and a 4-year degree, and that I'm competent. And I can actually get approval inside those city limits of Austin. And so like, I can go do this thing and get me more leverage, make my plans more quality because I have this certification on them, right? They're going to be the same plans. But it opens up a little bit bigger of a market. And so like, that's a potential step. But again, I can spend a bunch of time and money getting that certification for how many new clients? Or I could just call 100 more cities, right? That's like the whole, like, what are we doing here? All right. So I might do that. I might not. I'm not convinced it's a super high leverage move, but it would add value, even perceived value, to my plans, which is important to people. We got Mr. Wyatt over here. Studio Shed might need some drafting help. Cool. I'm gonna reach out to you on IG, Wyatt, and we'll touch base about this. This is good. Oh, you'll be in touch. Perfect. We'll take care of it. In California, we need the engineer's stamp to be approved. That makes total sense, especially in California. Oh my goodness. Earthquake zones, people are very concerned with lateral stability. So that makes total sense for sure. Oh, we got Centurion in the chat. Hello, my friend. Been a minute. How's the farm? This is great. Is there a place where you could advertise to builders? Do you need to be on site at all, or can you do all planning remotely so you can do nationwide? I can do everything I want out of my room right here. That's the way I've set up my business. And I've done that by basically saying I will only draw new construction plans, which means that like I can check permitting information, I can check requirements, I can call people. Like, all of my work is office work because it's new construction. It's all planned in a computer in an office. If you do remodels or anything like that, guess what? You're going out to a site somewhere. And that's very physically based because the client's not going to want to pay me a plane ticket to go fly over to their project in like Saskatchewan or whatever, right? That's not going to happen. So, and like I wanted the spread and like the logistical ability of being in my office working for anybody all over the country. Now, I am pretty limited to the United States. Simply because like construction's so different once you get out of the country. Not really as much in Canada, because I have met a dude who develops up in Canada. It's not super different, but it's just colder, basically. More insulation requirements. But anyways, thanks for the support, Centurion. Thanks for showing up and watching the show. Okay, where am I at here? Okay, so I think you should guys all ask yourself a question. If you're going to run a business or you are running a business, what is the unique skill or combination of skills that you have that allow you to run your business in a way that no other business can run it? What I mean by that is you've probably worked odd jobs or you've had certain kinds of education in certain things. And those things are going to give you an edge or the potential for an edge inside your business because those are skills that other people didn't do. And here's an example. I am a draftsman drawing houses. I don't need a degree to do what I do. Anybody could just grab the software and start drawing. I have a manufacturing engineering degree from Texas A&M. That means that I pretty much know how all things are made. That's sort of how I sum that up. Like if you showed me a thing anywhere, I'd be like, okay, that's the process that probably made that. And I understand how those processes work, and I understand engineering concepts and all this stuff. That's pretty much what my degree was. And so I actually have this little edge in that I'm going to get to this part. I'm going to start 3D printing models of every house that I draw because I don't think anybody else does that. I've tried finding it on the internet, and like hobbyists or modelists might do it, but no one does it at scale. Like nobody has this as part of their service. And so it's going to be a huge differentiator. I think it's a huge value proposition because like, even if it's just a cute thing that a homeowner gets, okay, think about this. If you're a builder or a contractor and someone comes to you, they want to build a house, they don't really have a plan, they kind of know what they want. You have a draftsman who's going to draft them a plan, get it figured out. You're going to build with them. They're going to be really fast. Everyone's really happy. And then guess what? As a consumer, you're getting a house built and you're like, okay, this is cool. Like I've seen some stuff in a computer and some plans. I don't see my house. If you also got a cute little model that's like your house floor plan, right? It's not gonna be like full scale, like roof and fancy stuff. It's just gonna be it's a little simpler. But like just like the cuteness overload, right? And people will see that and they'll be like, wow, look how much attention to detail and how unique this process was with this builder. I wonder what other great stuff he's doing for me, right? It just like elevates the whole experience, both for the designer and the builder. And that's what you want, right? You want that because like now that they're super happy with this thing that's going on, they're going to like the builder more. They're going to refer more people, which grows the builder's business. Everybody wins. And so I'm going to try to leverage that. And I am able to figure out how to get house out of computer into a 3D printer. It's not easy. And like most forums on the internet that I've been doing research in are like, this is like the files created are complicated. The support structures when printing are complicated. We can't figure out how to do this thing well. Well, guess what? I have a degree in it. And I happen to have an odd job as an internship working in a 3D printing company. It was called Stratasys, and they manufacture 3D printing. Well, they do all kinds of stuff. They both manufacture the machines that 3D print, and they manufacture parts with their own printers. And so, like, I've got tons of experience in it, and I'm able to solve that unique problem in a unique way that allows me to value boost what I do in a way that most other people wouldn't even know how to approach just because I had the degree and like that's what I studied. And so what do you guys have that gives you that edge? Because I guarantee you have got something. And so if you can figure out what that is and leverage it really hard, boom, boom diada. Like, go for it. Got a comment from Wyatt here. Hell yeah, bring back the architectural models they used to do in the 60s and 70s. That's right. Except instead of spending a weekend trying to make a model, I'm going to spend maybe 30 minutes because the machine's going to do most of the work. And I'm just going to take care of like slight assembly and what's that called? Shipping stuff to people if I need to ship it. Fulfillment is labor intensive. So I hear. So we're going to figure out how that goes, guys. All right. So we got that coming. So unique skill thing. And remember, every like week to week when I do this, and you guys should think about the same thing. When you're goal setting, you can't control the output. You actually can't control the goal that you want. If your goal is like, hey, I want to be making 100K take home or whatever, like if that's the goal, you can't control the goal. All you can control if you're running a business is how many leads do I get? How much do I advertise? How good is my product? How reliable am I? You can control all the inputs. You don't control the outputs. And so on these calls, I'm going to discuss the inputs, the actions I'm going to take, and we're going to see what the output is. I hope it's good. Otherwise, I'm going to be on the streets. I'll be streaming from the streets on my phone. And I learned recently that you can actually like pull which makes sense. You can pull the like utility plate covers off the bottom of light poles, and there's like accessible power at the bottom of the light pole, which makes sense. So you could like take your phone charger and go charge your phones up if like you're homeless and that's the thing you need. I'm just saying. But all right. So that's the whole like lessons learned section. Let's talk about strategy, guys. Okay. So right now we are in acquisition Texas phase 1. All right. Which is cold calling. There have been 118 builders in Brazos Valley, 101 in San Antonio, 273 in Dallas, 159 in Austin. And I did not actually get to Houston. I got the list created for Houston, but I figured out that there was over 400. Wait, what is there in Houston? No, there's over 400 in the list. After filtering out the like ones that don't apply, it was down to there's a number here, 277. So lots of them in Houston. I'll go ahead and do that. I also figured out that the Texas Builders Association shows me all the other builders associations in Texas, not just the main metropolitan ones. And so I'm going to go around to those too. And those are hopefully going to be a little juicier because they're not so city heavy oriented with that mindset. There's going to be like more draftsmen or more drafting work because the builders there don't need fancy architects. They just want stuff drafted to like build it. So that's what I'm aiming for. We'll see if that works. But yeah, I'm going to go through that. And the resulting process of a lot of this, by the way, is after I get through all of Texas, I'm going to have a list. Because what's happening as a product of this is I'm getting emails and names of people that are active contacts or active people I want to be talking with about what I do. They're like, oh, okay, you're a draftsman. Cool. We like draftsmen. We'll keep you on our list in the future when stuff comes up. We might contact you. Great. Like, that's cool. And what I want to do is basically, now that I have that huge list of warm leads, is you keep the leads warm. All right. So I can do emails. I can call these people back and be like, hey, I've got this 3D printer. I'm trying to get practice with it. I'm trying to do this. Okay. Every time you do something new, guys, give it away for free because you probably don't know what you're doing and you probably suck. So give it away for free. Get some like reviews out of it. Get some value out of it. People will like you more. Right. And so I'm going to call people and be like, hey, lead magnet, give me a plan set of like the last person you just built for, or some even better. Give me a plan set of the avatar of a client that you really liked, that you want more of. Give me their plan set. I'm going to give you a model for free. You're going to give that to them. They're going to be happy. They're going to refer you to more people like them, most likely. And your business is going to grow with the kind of people that you want. Value proposition. And now they like me because I'm a draftsman and I do this thing. And guess what? The next time they want plans with a model, who are they going to call? Ghostbusters. Hope I don't get copyrighted for that or whatever. Okay. So when I keep calling now, I'm going to insert that 3D printed lead magnet. And like literally the 3D printer is on the way. It's not here yet. Hopefully it gets here this week because then I can figure it out. But I think I want to start including that. I probably won't start including it until I've got a photo. I want to have something to show. And they're like, oh, what does a 3D printed model thing look like? That's cool. I could be like, hey, text you, here's a photo. This is what it looks like. Do you like it? Right. I think I'm going to wait for that leverage. And so I'm going to leave that off for now. And then when I do have it, I will go back and I will call those warm leads again. Be like, hey, I got this new thing I want to give you for free. And they'll be like, oh yeah. Okay. So that's the status. That's the idea. Okay. So product update, guys. We're continuously doing the template I call them template updates. All right. So my process that allows me to draw a set of plans in like 2 to 6 hours or whatever it takes, like an entire set, is because I have this super streamlined system and process. Right. So I have a template file and I have a checklist. And everything's built to be like boom, 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 all the way through. Done. Plan set. That's what I do. And so I'm continuously improving that and making it faster and faster and faster and faster because that is what we're here for. Do you see this lightning bolt? Do you see it? It is now the color of lightning. Yellow is the color of lightning. Let's put it back to green for the green observer. Okay. So we're fixing that up, speeding that up. And of course, I said I have that 3D printer on the way. It's going to be here soon. If you want to know which one I got the Bamboo Lab P1P. It is like basically super high tech, super consistent, super just like works. And I don't have to learn how to work on a 3D printer. I don't want to learn how to work on a 3D printer. I want it to work. So that's the one I got. I didn't get the fancy one that was a grade above that because I don't need it to do all the extra things. So that's what I did. That's what I got. And like, here's one of the weird things. What might happen as I do this, because I'm right now, my doors are pretty open to like most ideas because I want to establish flow with what I'm doing. And I might learn that there's a huge market for builders to get 3D printed models of houses. And it's like, maybe that's a moneymaker. Who knows? But what I will try not to do is change what I'm doing because no, we just do more and better. It's a better part. It's not a new part. It's a better part. I'm not drawing plans for you unless I'm not giving you a model unless I draw the plans. Maybe I'll say something like that. I'll add friction later. All right. Okay. Service update. Basically, a few people sent me their revisions. Be like, hey, bro, I need this thing tweaked. Oh my goodness. If you want someone to help your draftsman have a beautiful day, give them a Word document where you've typed out each revision you would like with photos and super clear, distinct language, and send a photo of the actual like review document with like clear red ink or red markings on all of the individual reviews you want. That if you want to guarantee you get the thing back with no problems on it, that's how you make the communication clear. Otherwise, if you like take a pencil and write on black and white paper, it's like, okay, well, I might see it, I might not. It's rough. It's rough out here, guys. Okay. So, all right. So here's the accountability part. Action steps from last week. I had to call the last 40 builders in Dallas, call all the builders in Austin and Houston. Again, I called all of Austin. I did not call all of Houston. Bigger than I thought, ran out of time. So I'll do that this week. Q&A calls are on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. if you want to hang out or ask me questions about everything that's going on. If you have questions about your stuff, maybe I can give you some information that's helpful. So just come on the call, hang out, ask me questions. I'm accessible. Okay. Frame It Fridays. I did the first one this last Friday and it was mostly successful. I got to put the computer in a better spot so I can see when my camera like breaks itself. And it's about to be 45 minutes into the stream, which is typically when my camera likes to break itself. And I have to like fix it. And if I don't notice, then guess what? You're not seeing what I'm doing in front of you. And that's a problem. I think I had that problem. So we'll get that figured out a little bit better, but it was good. If you want to learn about how a structural engineer looks at a set of plans, so you can understand like, okay, if I'm going to build something, this is how people look at it structurally. Now I understand it more, which makes me more capable of explaining it to other people and knowing that I'm going to be building better stuff. That's what we're about here. So Frame It Fridays, 7:30 p.m. Central. Every week. All right. Now, I also said I was going to set up a meeting with a local developer friend I've got here in town. I did. I had a lunch meeting with him. And the result of that is I'm going to help him build 2 houses. And when I say help, I don't mean with my tools. And in fact, I guess I could update you guys. I gave all my tools away. I don't have them anymore. The tool that I have is this computer and all the tech that I use to run this production and draw plans and the 3D printer that's coming, because like that's part of design. So I found myself, and this is like, here's some like sage wisdom for you guys, right? You've probably got stuff in your life that's distracting you from the focus you need to do way better at what you're doing, even if it's just sitting there, right? I was very focused on all the design work I was doing, but I found that in my off time, I would think about like how much I love building with my hands, how much I love striking nails with a hammer. Like that's like the identity that I like. I love that thought. And so it was sort of stressing me out, being like, man, I'm going to do all this design work and then I'm not going to be able to hammer stuff with nails and like saws and stuff. And I realized if I really want to grow the design thing, I have to be able to let a previous part of me die so that I can fill that space with more of what I want to be doing now. And so there was a roofing crew like outside my apartment here that's been working really hard. And I went outside and I was like, oh, I got a roofing nail gun. They could probably use a roofing nail gun. Cool. Just like one little thing, took it outside, gave it to them. They're like, oh, cool. Free roofing nail gun. Thanks, bro. I was like, cool. Happy. I went back inside and I was like, wait, they probably know lots of other people that are in construction because they're in construction. And so I took all my tools, loaded them up on my couch and said, hey guys, come inside and please take all these things out of my house. And they did so. And it was a really great experience. And it was like watching a Christmas morning. They had them all piled up outside and they were just kind of like going through it and being like, look at all this, like, look at this potential energy that we now have because we have this means, right? I think that's exciting. But anyway, don't have the tools anymore. So I retained some stuff. Like I can put like holes in drywall and like, some basic things, a drill and screwdrivers and stuff like that. But in terms of like my laser level or my nail guns or my compressor or my 5 gallons of diesel or all that stuff, it's like, I don't need this. And so now the headspace is clearer. All right. And so you've probably got things in your life that are not helping you with the thing you're actively working on. Maybe consider selling them if that's worth your time, or getting rid of them if you just want to help somebody. Like trade, get rid of something for a value transaction. Maybe they're like, it's a networking thing. Maybe it's not, right? But consider that because that might be valuable for you. That might help you just get that little bit of edge for the next step. That's my sage advice. Okay. So, that's all. Okay. Building 2 houses for a developer friend. I drew him his houses first, and then he was getting them through the city. And I basically had a meeting. I was like, hey, I want to learn more about this thing. You're doing this thing. You trust me and like me. Let me do this thing. And so he's going to teach me everything he's doing. And I'm going to get a much better inside scoop for how large scale development is built fast and like all those tools and skills and stuff. And that's hopefully going to give me better context for the work that I do so that I can know how to give more value to the people that do that work. That's the idea. Because I am obsessed with construction. And so like, who doesn't want to know more? Okay. And we've got the IRL meetings planned. If you guys want to come hang out, first one is in College Station, August 31st. All day, we're going to go check out all the cool job sites around here that I know where they are. And we're going to go look at stuff, see construction, talk about construction, learn things, have lunch, have food, talk stories, get to know each other, network, all that hubba dubba stuff. And in the evening, we'll do some social networking in the local bar district and have a good time. So if you want to join that, then check it out. Otherwise, you can get FOMO and watch us have fun on Instagram. That's the alternative. So you decide, and it's free. Show up. I'm not like, I'm hosting it, but like, just come on by, right? I'm not going to charge you $1,000 to join my party. We're here for fun. We're here for a good time. I'm here to make money drawing plans, not making money throwing parties. Okay. So action steps for the coming week. Here's the last subject, guys. Okay. So what am I gonna do now that I've talked all this talk? All right. So I'm gonna at least certainly call all the 277 builders in the greater Houston area. And then I'm going to keep moving through all of the other smaller home builders associations in other counties outside the metropolitan areas in Texas until I have done all of the lists. Okay. That's the next step. That's going to take more than a week, I think, because it takes a lot of time to scrape the data. But we'll do that. Hopefully the 3D printer is going to arrive this week. It should be here soon. It's in Houston, and I'm right next to Houston, so it shouldn't take that long. That's what I think. That's just my biased opinion. Okay. So that's going to arrive. I'm going to figure out how to prepare all the proper STL files and models and all the sciencey stuff that it takes to like get a 3D print to work the way I want it to. So I'm going to basically do all that, spend all that time researching, developing, and it's going to come down to like tweaking numbers. What's the scale that's optimal? What's the like maximum overhangs on my doors that like I can use to 3D printing is not like as simple as just click print. It's not. And so I got to figure all those kinks out. The good news is the printer I bought, that Bamboo Lab P1P, it uses really cool software to, let me explain this. I'm going to nerd out for you guys in just a second. It uses super cool software to print like 2 to 3 times faster than all of the other printers. All right. Here's how it does it. Okay. So if you were to try to print faster and your printer's like jogging all over the place, moving all around, like drawing all these lines, right? What it's doing, if you move too fast, is there's actually resonant frequencies in your machine, right? Because your machine's like got a frame, it's built of mass, it's got stuff, and therefore there exists resonant frequencies as things flex. Everything flexes. And at high speed, that's where all like the flexing is noticeable. And so what they have is I forget the name, but it's basically software that factors in the resonant frequency of all of the parts of the machine and it adjusts for it. And so if you go like from here to here to here really fast, like there would be a small vibration on the end of each one of those movements. But what the stepper motors do that control the X, Y, and Z is they actually move and account for the frequency and where the object would have moved to with the frequency. And it like, what's the word? It like negates the vibration. And so it allows you to move super fast and print super fast, which is good because Rapid Designs, lightning bolt, right? Fast, everything. So I'll get the fastest machine. Anyway, I thought that's pretty cool, but I'm also a manufacturing nerd, so whatever. That's just pretty cool science. And, when I get to the point, I'm going to saturate Texas with the cold calls, and then I'm going to go through that warm list and try to like keep the list warm and offer the models and stuff like that with the 3D printing. That's going to keep me plenty busy. And I'm also going to, I think I'm going to be more aggressive with my price cutting because like some of the data I get back is like, okay, like my numbers are fine. I could lower my price more. I could decrease friction, decrease resistance, get the flow coming and establish the relationships and the product and the value and then push it back up again. So that could be what I do. I am not particularly interested in like being the cheapest person in the world, but I am interested in being the best. So I gotta play the game though. So we'll play the game. We'll figure out what the economy will provide. All right. And my last thought is, guys, if you're gonna do action steps for the next week, just do more and do it better. Just do more and do it better. There's your hack. There's your secret. Not original, from Alex Hormozy. Shout out to Alex Hormozy for giving me all of this beautiful business advice. If you want to learn anything about business, just start binging his YouTube channel. It's all free. The man is a genius. Man. Gold. Or also join the school games. That's a cool thing too. So if you like join my school server and you're like, wow, I want a community too, there's tons of value to have a community for your customers. Big value. So I would consider doing that. So that's what I got, folks. Quick shout out to everybody who showed up in the chat today. We got Green Observer. There he is right there. We got Mr. Wyatt. Thank you for coming into the show. We got Centurion. Good to see you again, Mr. 54 Cent. And of course, down here, we got Mr. Will Stevenson from the DGen Roundtable. Folks, if you want to learn about cryptocurrency, check out the DGen Roundtable on YouTube because they are very good at helping people understand why it exists, what it's for, how it can help you. And if you're going to bury your head in the sand and pretend that alternative money systems are not going to be this game that's at least played and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every 4 years, like you don't have to play the game, but understanding what it does and what it's for, it would be good to not be ignorant on it because the financial system of our world is very important and it governs lots of things. And so it's good to be financially wise. So check out the DGen Roundtable, folks. Oh, look who we got in the chat. Hello, Jenna Nelson. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. This is the very end. Hopefully you've got lots of value out of the stream. Happy Sunday, everybody. That is right. Happy Sunday. Folks, if you want to learn about skincare, check out Jenna Nelson, JN Skin on Instagram, I think. Let me fact check myself. I think it's at JN Skin. And actually just type your handle in the chat and then people will know because I'm not good at talking and looking stuff up yet. Mr. Centurion, you too, sir, have a good one. One problem I found when trying to build a customer base, if you come in as the cheap option, they won't like it when you aren't the cheap guy anymore. Yes, that's true. Yes, here's the problem, Centurion. When you lower your price, you will get more customers and more flow. But you are now inviting in avatars that are not the ones you want. And so what's going to happen is like, it's all a risk game. Okay. So what I'm doing, what my current strategy is, I want to boost flow. I want to get all the flow going so that I can build up a big cash reserve. And the cash reserve will allow you to take risk to cut out the bad avatars that you don't want. All right. So you get the cash. You don't want to, like, it's all a risk game. I could try only selling to one avatar and like going for that right now. I could do that, but that's not what I want to do because I want to decrease my risk somewhat. I am pretty risk tolerant, but I want to decrease it somewhat. And so I'm going to increase the flow, stack up a cash savings so that like I can afford to now lose work potentially. And I would rather charge twice as much and only get like if I retain at least 50% of my clients, guess what? I'm now doing half the work and getting the same amount of money. And there's actually a higher profit margin. So like that's the idea. And here's the thing. If you're closing, here this from Hormozy. If you're closing more than 80% of your sales, you are charging too low in terms of your value. And so you have to change something. And maybe that means you have to find out what your value is and go get more of like the value because people pay for value. And so part of what I'm doing as a draftsman is like, I just draw plans. No, I don't just draw plans. I draw plans that are faster than anybody else can do it. I'm better at communicating. Your revisions, you're not going to wait 2 weeks for a window to change size. You're going to obviously get something that doesn't have any structural problems. You're going to get someone who gives you a 3D model, like a physical model of your cute thing, right? And all of those things combined for a builder are going to make the builder look good and the builder's going to grow his business. And like, it's basically, I become an investment. I'm not even an expense at that point, right? So it's just like, it's all about mentality. Can you sell the value of your thing for the price? So yes, I will start working with people that like only want cheap stuff intentionally for now. And then I will cut them out of my life. Or the additional drive is going to push me to be that much more efficient to the point where I'm actually still making good money with them and I'm making even more money with everybody else. And so maybe I keep the price that low because like B2B2C is all about efficiency. If you are selling to a business that's turn around and sell it to a consumer, you need to be able to, you're going to beat out the rest of the market by having a really efficient process because you can charge less and you can do volume. And that is what other businesses want, is they want someone that's like, this is my person. He does all my volume and he can handle it. And he does a great job and he's consistent with it. So if that's the market you're targeting, then that's what you got to do. And like, yeah, then my price isn't going to be the highest price as a designer on whole. But if my process is ridiculously efficient that I have a really high profit margin, I don't care. So that's that. Thank you for the thought, Centurion. Good thought. Great thought. Very wise. You're a wise farmer, sir. People need to think twice about farmers being simple people. This man Centurion's running a big operation. Very impressive. Okay. That's all I got, folks. Shout outs and everything. Thanks for coming on the show. As always, let's take it out with some banging music from the one and only Green Observer. You want some more banging music? Check out his channel. But for now, let's take it out with the Green Observer's music and our one and only Larry Hahn.
That's the code.